Good men do the things they like to do. Great men do the things they need to do. But champions do the things they hate to do, to grow, to achieve, and to overcome all obstacles in their path. To learn more, visit www.evenplace.com. Hello, welcome to The Even Place. I'm your host, Alvin Jones. Why do we call it The Even Place? Well, it's based upon a passage from the Bible that King David said in Psalm 26, verse number 12. He says this, "My foot standeth in an even place, in the congregation will I bless the Lord." He's letting us know that all places and all situations are not equal. That's very, very important for you to be in a place of success, a place where you can prosper, a place where you can grow. For example, if I want lobsters, I perhaps will go to Maine because they grow better there. If I want a potato, I may go to Idaho because they grow better there. God made places first. After he made a place, he placed man in a place for him to develop and for him to grow. We want this to be an intellectual place for you to grow, to experience these four things: to be empowered, to be enlightened, to be encouraged, and to be enriched in the things of God. You know, for example, right now, I have a 1996 classic Chevrolet Capri outside. And inside the glove compartment, there is a manual. That manual is there for me to know how to operate the manual. It'll tell me if I observe the following instructions, and I observe the following things that in that particular book, I will become successful in the operation of that car. We have been fortunate to be given 66 books, and this book is not only a book of faith and philosophy, which it is, a book of inspiration, it's also a textbook. And we want to use this book as a manual for our discussion on how you can live an extraordinary life and an abundant life. Jesus Christ said that he's come that we may have life and life more abundant. And so we want to be able to, as our goal and the task for what we want to be able to do is encourage you to experience the best that life has to offer for you. You know, when I think about that concept of the even place, I'm not sure if you're familiarized with this particular book, but the other day I was talking to F. Paul Wilson. He was talking about this concept of Repairman Jack. Have you heard of a Repairman Jack? Well, Repairman Jack is a guy who finds people who have been victimized, who have not been successful, and he kind of makes sure everything is made right. That's why they call him Repairman Jack. Also, there was an extraordinary TV series called The Equalizer. So these are characters that are available on television as well as in novels. But we want to be like that for you. We want you to know that perhaps in your life, things have may not been going as well as you would like for it to be. And you may just need a word to enrich you, enlighten you, to encourage you, to empower you to become successful. And we want the even place to be a spiritual cup of coffee that's going to give you the intellectual information to become successful in this life. Now, at the even place, we usually discuss topics that fall into one of three categories or all three: discernment, fitness, and balance. Discernment, fitness, and balance. To discern something means that everything has a different value. We want you to be fit, not only spiritually, but emotionally as well as physically. And also we want you to experience balance in your life. Today's lesson, we're going to call it and start a series entitled Biblical Science Series. We want you to understand that this book here is like a textbook. It is a manual for success for you in this life. We're going to use as our foundational principle the book of Ephesians. The book of Ephesians says this: the eyes of your understanding may it be enlightened. King Solomon, the preaching king, says this: wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get a understanding. We are going to teach concerning the subject of understanding, the law of comprehension. It's important to understand things. Albert Einstein says this: any fool can know. The point is to understand. There's a lot of information that floats around society. There's a lot of information that allows you to make decisions. Certain information is going to allow you to become successful. Certain information that you receive is going to cause you not to be successful. In this town, and I'm not making a judgment, but I'm making an observation. There's two men in this particular town. One particular man, his arm was severed off at the elbow. And because of that, he's used information that he's received and has become despondent. And he walks around begging. Another person's arm was severed in a similar spot. He said, you know what? I am not going to let this hold me down. He is a golf instructor. One person has taken the information or what life has offered him and has chosen not to uplift himself, not to do anything about it. The other person say, you know what? I may not have this arm, but I do have the other arm. I can become successful no matter what life throws at me. I want to encourage you, no matter what life has thrown you, whatever problem you may be facing or whatever joy, you are successful. And so this program is also for successful people who want to perform at a higher level. Everybody is not having trouble in their way and they got to cry sometime. Everyone is not going through. So we want to also to appeal to you, and you're successful and you want to increase your ability to get more out of life. You want to increase your ability to be more successful. This program is for you. Now, what is the goal of today's lesson? Our goal is to do this, is to teach you to be more like Jesus. The heart of our faith is that Jesus is the great example, not the great exception. The more we know him, his thoughts and actions, and why he did what he did, we will be doing the same and or greater works. Jesus Christ said this in St. John 14, verse number 12. It's a very powerful concept. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works shall he do, because he goes to the Father. St. John 14, verse number 12. So what is the goal of today's lesson? It's for you to be able to do the same identical things that Jesus Christ did. One of the main things that Jesus Christ did was he had the capacity to love. He had the capacity to care and to be a blessing to other people. And I want to encourage you that you can do the same things he did or greater works in your life if you understand certain principles and certain concepts. When I say the word understanding, what do I mean by that? And I want to give you 7 things to consider as relates to the subject of understanding. Because when a person says a word, I want you to make sure that you understand the meaning and the definition of a particular word. So I want to give you 7 things to consider as it relates to the subject of understanding. And what is our goal? Our goal is to be like Jesus and do the works of Jesus Christ. Even when it came to Jesus Christ and the subject of him walking on water, do you realize the concept of walking on water is a scientific concept? I was talking the other day to my good friends from Ripley, believe it or not. Do you realize that a person has been able to discover the secret and the science of walking on water, and he's done the exact same thing? Everything that he did, from turning water to wine, from his ability to walk on water, there are scientific discoveries on how to be able to do the exact same things. And so he was a miracle, and you can become a miracle, and you can become the change agent in your own life. Now, let's look at 7 things as relates to the subject of understanding. Again, Solomon says this: wisdom is a principal thing, in all our getting, get an understanding, get a comprehension. And we want to encourage you to comprehend things. Now, the first thing that I want you to comprehend is the power of remembrance, or to remember. The power to recall benefits and blessings. I have a particular book here in my hand. We call it Dr. Alvin's Book of Ponderations. I have an expression in chapter 3, verse 1. Don't let the sadness of not having the one thing quench the joy of the many things you have. I'm going to say it again. Don't let the sadness of not having the one thing quench the joy of the many things that you have. Sometimes when we bring things back to our remember, we don't bring back the things that bring us joy or happiness. Sometimes we recall the things that have caused us pain. It's very, very important for you to understand that everything that's happened in your life, discover and find meaning in it. Discover the meaning and the blessing of it. King David said this in Psalm 103, verse 2. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Now, the word soul, when I say that word, is your mind, your will, your intellect, and your emotions. And forget not any of his benefits. There are benefits in serving the Lord. There are benefits in being in this life. So I need to understand that as I'm walking around the life, As I'm looking at things, I need to not pull out of my mind things that cause problems, but I need to have an attitude of gratitude. I need to be grateful. You know, I was talking to an extraordinary friend of mine when I first met her. One thing that was very, very powerful thing that she would always say to me, she says, I'm very fortunate. She didn't say she was lucky. She didn't say that I'm going through. She didn't talk to me about Mr. Struggle. The first thing she said to me is that I'm very, very fortunate. And that stays with me, that her whole life, her whole attitude is viewing life from the perspective that, you know what? Yes, I've had some challenges. Yes, some things may have not gone the way I wanted to go. But every day she talks about, I'm fortunate, I'm fortunate, I'm fortunate. So when you recall things, we have this expression at the church, we used to say this: when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. That's the kind of attitude. We used to sing another song. I used to lead praise and worship at our church, and we used to sing this song, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what the Lord has done. She calls it fortunate. You may call it a blessing, but every day have this understanding, the ability to recall the good things of life. You know, several years ago, I made a decision that despite what happens, despite what goes on in life, today is a remarkable and amazing day. And I want to encourage you right now. Think about the goodness of God. Think like what my friend says. She says, I'm fortunate. And I want to encourage you to understand and live an extraordinary and fortunate life. So when I say understanding, first one is to remember the benefits and blessings of life. Number two, realize that every decision that you make have repercussions. The power of consequences. Understand that everything you do, everything that you say, everything about your life is going to have repercussions. Now, Carl Sager says this: understanding is a kind of ecstasy. You know, when you understand something, when you understand what is going on. You know, when I used to play football, I was very fortunate to play football. And let me just talk about my college days, because I started for the extraordinary American University Eagles. And we had a thing called a playbook. And it was it's exciting. When you understood the playbook, you were able to carry out the plan and you were able to score a touchdown. And when you're able to understand the play, we had one play that I really loved. And there was really two. I used to catch the ball as a tight end over the middle, a little short pass, or I would run like 9 steps like Raymond Berry and John Mackey and go to the sideline and catch the ball. And that would be a call to down and out. Once I understood the law of catching the ball. Now, if you're going to be a basketball player or if you're going to be a football player, the whole trick of being an extraordinary basketball player or football player is separation. I have to do some kind of move. I would go like I'm going to go out, go like I'm going to go in, and then I would go out. Me and the quarterback had to have this thing timed out. We had to have an understanding that soon as I made my cut, not any moment, the cut of separation, he had to throw the ball at that point of separation. When you look at extraordinary basketball players like Kobe Bryant, one thing he does, he may come and dribble, then he plants his foot, then he pulls back, and there's a point of separation. Then he shoots the ball. He understands that he has to separate himself from that opponent in order for him to score. In order for me to catch the football, I had to separate myself from the strong side linebacker and the strong side safety in order to catch the ball. And when I did that, it was a kind of ecstasy because I understood that the ball was coming and my extraordinary quarterback would throw me the ball and I would catch it and I would be dancing happily down the field. It's very, very important for you to understand in life that when you understand things, like Carl Sager says here, it's a kind of ecstasy. When you know that everything is going to be all right, when you know the Lord is going to make a way somehow, when you know and have information, it produces a peace. More importantly, when you know something, it produces confidence. The more you know, the more confidence that you have in a particular subject matter. The less you know about a particular subject matter, the less confidence you have.